All right, we have had an amazing full day. I feel like I've got way too much stuff in my brain to process it all, which always happens. But just one thing to note, anybody who attends this, you get a link once we've gotten the videos up, and you can watch all the ones that you've missed. So it's really, and you can go back and watch the ones that you sat through and got too much information on to process in one day. I'm going to introduce Bella. She spoke this morning. She's speaking this afternoon on something that I think is really important, because a lot of the time we talk about toxin-free and organic food and, toxin-free cleaners and all of this. If you go into a supermarket, they're more expensive. They can make money off you. These companies want to make money, and they know they can. And so I really wanted Bella to come and talk about living on a budget and how to do this economically, because all of us can do it, and there are ways to do it. You have to be creative, and you have to be able to, do stuff in your home and have science experiments going on in your home, but you can do it. So Bella just recently, I think you just recently graduated from nutritional therapy school, and so she is a nutritionist, and she really has a sort of one-on-one approach, but also an approach that is, I want to say, global, that allows everybody to sort of be able to live toxin-free. So thank you, Bella, for coming.
Thank you so much. Yes. Well, hello. Yes, I'm BellaTommey. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, holistic health educator, and just overall toxin-free living person, whatever you want to call me. So a little bit about me. Let me just kind of take you on my journey into this space and how I kind of came about to, I guess, know what I know about toxin-free living. My health journey started at a very young age when my brother Billy, who is pictured up there with me, I don't know if you can see, he was diagnosed with severe autism at the age of 2, and our entire family adopted this low-tox lifestyle in an effort to help his functioning. And at the time I was young, and I was complaining about the weird food and the herb-smelling home that I lived in, but I was, I'm so immensely grateful for the slightly limited toxic exposure I had in my younger years, and I excelled. I had bundles of energy, and I juggled 3 sports and felt really great. And then I hit my teenage years, and I started eating all the junk, thinking it was really cool to, eat at McDonald's every day, using all the toxic makeup and perfumes. And then I started dealing with my own health issues, mainly just acne and hormonal issues, but also some digestive problems too. And when I felt so icky like that, I became determined to, again, adopt my family's low-tox lifestyle. And this time I was going into college, but the problem that I kept running into and everyone kept telling me was that I had no money, because I was a college student, and we all know what that's like. And I was surrounded by people who spent their tiny little budgets on fast food and alcohol and sorority dues and things like that. And everyone told me, you can't be healthy during college because you have no money, and when you're in college you just have to eat fast food. But that wasn't good enough for me. So I kind of went on a mission, and I tried different things, and I figured it out, I like to think. I discovered during these years at college that you absolutely can live a toxin-free lifestyle on even the smallest budget. In fact, you can actually save money by living a healthy lifestyle if you know how. So today I'm going to be covering the major elements of low-toxin living, starting off with organic, nourishing food, going into household products that aren't going to kill you, and personal care products free from nasty ingredients. As a nutritional therapy practitioner, you'd be amazed at the times I hear clients come to me and say, oh, I can't afford to eat organic. Even if they pay for my services, they'll still walk away and say, sorry, I can't afford to buy organic food, or I can't afford to buy toxin-free cleaners for my home. I'm here today to prove to you that this is a pretty lame excuse. In my opinion, it's giving up totally. And if you know how and are willing to learn, I bet you can budget low-tox living very simply. I do want to mention before I dive in that although we can strive to live as toxin-free as possible, sadly, and I don't want to be really a downer, but it isn't really possible to live entirely toxin-free if you live on this earth. If you leave your house, drive a car, stand next to someone in public when they spray their floral fragrance all over themselves, and this happened to me on the plane yesterday. If you're breathing the air around us, it's pretty much impossible to live free from all toxins. I want you to remember that as we go into this. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best we can with what we have and about maximizing our budget and resources to live as healthy as possible. So, let's go first into organic food, which is my favorite topic as a nutritional therapy practitioner. So how much are we spending on food? And this may not be reflective of your budget, but this was the statistics that I found online at the USDA. So the average two-person family on a moderate budget spends around $554 per month on food. And this isn't organic food. This is just food in general. This includes eating out. It includes groceries, snacks, and things like that. The average four-person family with two toddlers on a moderate budget spends $712 a month. Because teens tend to eat more, the average family with two teenagers spends an average of $1,106 per month. And on average, it costs one person on a moderate budget around $244 per month to eat. So if anyone wants to share, you can share what your budget is. If not, no worries, but I'm going to share what my budget is. I spend no more than $70 a week on organic food, and that's for two people, Max and I. This includes 3 meals a day and snacks, and everything is organic and real food. We do sometimes factor in one date night each week, but other than that, it provides for us from Monday to Sunday, $70 a week. And I would say that's a pretty affordable budget, and that's kind of the budget I went off in college. So, introduction to budget-friendly food. Firstly, and this is not necessarily the thing that you want to hear, but I feel like as a society, we can't afford not to eat organic food. We can't afford to eat pesticide-laden food, meals that are highly processed, or food pumped with hormones. Why? Because it will make us sick. And what happens when we're sick, like really sick, cancer, chronic illnesses, and autoimmune diseases, we have to go to the doctor. And what happens when we go to the doctor or the hospital? We get thousands and thousands of dollars in medical bills, resulting in us spending far more than if we had just invested a little of that money into taking better care of ourselves. Secondly, I believe that it's a myth that organic food is overwhelmingly and drastically more expensive. The reality is it can be just as, or if not more, affordable. Again, you just need to know how to shop and the little hacks behind living healthy on a budget. So let's start off in the grocery store, where organic food is made out to be like triple the price. Now, the reality is, as Christina mentioned earlier, yes, actually, most organic food does have a price rise. They, know we're interested in organic food. They know we'll pay more for it. But it may not be as high as you actually were expecting. According to a Consumer Report study, on average, organic foods were, ready for this, it's kind of shocking, 47% more expensive. But before you panic, it's important to know that the range was huge depending on what you bought. In a couple of instances in the study, the organic product was actually quite a lot cheaper. For example, organic honey at Amazon Fresh is 13% cheaper than regular honey. In fact, depending on where they shopped in the study, they found organic lettuce, carrots, maple syrup, olive oil, and cream cheese for the same price or less than conventional options. At the other extreme, things like organic zucchini cost a whopping 303% more than non-organic at Fresh Direct. So, ultimately, it comes down to knowing where to shop for what, price comparison, and figuring out some hacks to get the best bang for your buck. I also want to add that as demand rises and more growers switch to natural and organic methods, the price will go down. I'm all about voting with your dollars, and I truly believe that as a community, as a population, if we all start buying organic food, they can't just raise it for everyone because everyone needs to eat. According to Tim Richards, chair of the agribusiness program at Arizona State University, 10 years ago, organic food was about 50% more expensive than it is now. But now prices are in more of the same category. So how do we figure out the grocery store because it can seem very overwhelming. And here are some tips that I learned that I still hold very dear to me to this day. Firstly, planning ahead. Meal planning and making weekly grocery lists eliminate chances of overspending, in my opinion. I have this grocery list that's free. You can print it out on my blog at bellagracewellness.com. I use it every single week. It has all of my favorite budget-friendly snacks if you're into buying packaged foods at all. They're all organic and also other healthy products. I print one of these every single week. I mark the products that I actually need for the week, and I stick to it pretty solidly on the list so I don't get tempted by all the goodies at the store, especially if you're going to places like Whole Foods. Often they'll have fancy things that you want to try, but I really just don't need them in my house. I don't need them. Each week I make sure I include a ton of fresh vegetables and fruits, high-quality fats, and high-quality meat, fish, or eggs. Little tips like buying a whole organic chicken for less per pound rather than buying just a package of organic chicken breast or legs or wings, which are more expensive per pound, are hugely helpful when planning ahead. You can also use the organic chicken carcass to make your own chicken broth, and that will also then result in things like soup. So I actually buy an organic chicken pretty much every week. It really stretches. I find it, you can make a lot of meals from it. Also, focus on the freezer. This is one that my mum taught me, and she's been living like this for ages. But 9 times out of 10, the organic frozen produce at a store is cheaper. When you see things on sale for a great discount, buy them and throw them in your freezer for another day. My freezer is always stocked with organic meats, vegetables, and more. If anyone has a natural grocer's store near you, and sorry if it sounds very unfamiliar, it's a smaller grocery chain, but they have a really great clearance freezer section, and they put a ton of organic meat in there that they freeze on its sell-by date, and you can buy it for 50% plus off the price. So definitely go check it out if you have one in your store. So yeah, we stock up our freezer with all kinds of things we find on sale, and also you're less likely to waste produce if it's frozen. So I mean, I know I've stocked up my fridge with beautiful, fresh, expensive produce, and then only to find that I never got round to it and it's gone off, and I have to put it in my compost. So utilizing the freezer has been a game changer for me and my entire family. Buying in bulk. So if you have a large family, this may be for you. For me, I'm a family of 2, so it's not really the most cost-savvy option for me. But at the Autism Trust, we have many, many mouths to feed, and so joining wholesale clubs like Costco or Sam's, they actually have so many organic options now at a reduced rate if you're buying a lot of them, and also tons of delicious samples, so I would check that out. Also, don't buy into the label. So many grocery stores now, as organic is getting more popular, have their own USDA organic certified products that are way, way cheaper than popular brands. And oftentimes they've still undergone the same rigorous testing process. So when I go to the grocery store, I avoid these popular brands, mainly because they're able to raise their prices to meet with the demand. Things like pancake mix and cake mixes, consider buying the ingredients yourself and putting them together. You can even go to the store and read the back of your organic grain-free pancake mix and see exactly what's in there and put it together at home for far cheaper. I actually honestly recommend avoiding food in packaging as much as possible anyway, just because food without a label, in my opinion, is far healthier and safer and cheaper. Figure out your area, and this was a big one for me. So I recently moved to the Hampton Roads area in Virginia, and before I kind of got settled on where I was going to grocery shop, I spent a week, and I know that sounds really tedious, but I spent a week figuring out my local stores. So I know that when I shop, I'll go to Lidl, for example, for some things, Trader Joe's for others, Whole Foods for the more specific items, and then buy others from my local farmer. And I'll go into building a relationship with your farmer in a minute. But I think it seems like tedious work, but once you've figured out where to buy what and what are the best prices you're getting, even if it's 50 cents on one thing, you can actually save a lot over time. So basically every week I'll take my list, I'll split it into different stores and write which stores I'm going to buy what, and quickly zip around them, and I'll get it done in an hour. And I'll have had the best price and the best quality. So that's important to me. So that's kind of how I navigate grocery stores, but you don't even have to shop at grocery stores. There are some other options where you can get your food for a great price. Farmers markets. I'm sure you're all very familiar with farmers markets, but again, depending on where you live and what your situation is, it can actually be more expensive to buy from your farmer. I know in Austin we were struggling to find an affordable farmer because the farmers there have crazy prices. But sometimes it can be significantly cheaper than food shipped from miles and miles away. It's definitely healthier anyway. So for me, buying eggs and certain meats from my farmer is far cheaper than purchasing them from the grocery store. And I actually shopped around with farmers in my area. I did a ton of research onto their farming methods, but also their prices and why they price things a certain way. I went and visited the farmers and formed a relationship with them. And I eventually found my wonderful farm in Virginia, and it only took me a few weeks. Also, don't feel afraid to ask in local groups and amongst friends. And sometimes the best farmers are actually a little more under the radar. So definitely hunt around. Be aware that also sometimes farmers can't afford the certified organic sticker. So don't be put off if they can't afford to have that. Ask them about their practices. Again, really get to know your local farmer and their methods, build a relationship, travel to their farm. And I said this in my earlier talk, but if they're not going to let you in to see their practices, you don't want to be buying from them. When you have that relationship established, especially if you're buying regularly from them, you can also consider negotiating prices. Just tell them your story and your truth and your budget and work with them. I think a lot of farmers actually hugely appreciate the business, and a lot of them are very friendly. Also, another tip that I learned was be the last person to leave the farmer's market. Oftentimes, farmers will actually cut their prices at the end of the day so they don't have to take their produce back to the farm, especially if they're a little further away. You can also consider buying a share in a CSA program, and I know there was one out there actually that was doing delicious food. It's nice to contribute to a local farm's operating expenses, but you can also get your weekly box of fresh fruits and vegetables, especially if you know and trust where it's coming from. Another thing, if you're a meat eater, also looking into sharing a cow with some friends for plenty of affordable, high-quality beef. Growing your own food. I had a comment about this earlier. This seems very tedious, and I was terrified of it for ages. But go for it. I mean, I'm not a gardener. I have no experience in gardening at all, and I've planted a little garden, and it's going great. So start off by planting a garden just simply by putting down some healthy soil and some seeds. You'll actually be surprised at how easy it is. You just got to give it a little care and attention. And you can reap a ton of benefits all year long with the right crops. Vegetables that may yield more than one crop per season include beans, beets, carrots, cabbage, lettuce, radishes, spinach, and turnips. All very nutrient-dense, excellent choices. And if you've ever tasted fresh veggies, fresh from the ground, especially if you grow them yourself, there's nothing quite like it. They are truly delicious, and they haven't traveled anywhere. They are super fresh. Also, organic herbs and herb pots. I honestly think they're one of the most overpriced items at the grocery store, especially if you are buying organic. You buy those little packets of organic herbs and they go like that or they go bad. But just plant a herb pot in your kitchen or even in your front yard or wherever you want to do it. My mum actually has a row of fresh herbs on her driveway, and they smell amazing and they look really pretty, but she is also able to use them in every recipe. She uses them also to make tinctures and as an air freshener and homemade laundry detergent, which I'll go into a little later. But the possibilities are endless. And again, they're very easy to maintain and very affordable. Once you have them, they last a while and they yield so many great herbs that you can use for so many things. If you see feeding your family as intimidating for a gardener, being a gardener, talk to your friends or neighbors about getting a little gardening club together. Everyone can grow, one or two crops as basic or as skilled as you want. And every harvest you can exchange vegetable gardens. Get a couple of chickens. And this, again, seems very tedious. And we were terrified of them. And now we have about 30 at Autism Trust land. In fact, we have so many chickens and ducks that we have just so many eggs every day. We don't even know what to do with them. Since our birds are totally free range and they feed off organic scraps and basically whatever else they find outside, So this keeps them healthy and not supplemented with the GMO Frankenfeed that you find at the store, but also really cheap to care for. They, again, feed off our scraps and in the garden, and they are super healthy, and the eggs, the yolks are so orange, and I think that's a key to knowing that you're getting good eggs. And then if you do get chickens and ducks, you can even start your own little business selling the eggs to those in your neighborhood and to friends. So again, don't be afraid of them. They're really easy to maintain. Online shopping, and this is something that's really boomed, I think, in the last year. I don't know if anyone has heard of Thrive Market before. Relatively new, but it saved me a ton of money. It's basically a health food store, and they have a ton of different non-GMO and organic groceries, mostly pantry items, but they've actually started doing grass-fed organic meats. And they're drastically reduced prices, anywhere from 25 to 50% off. I found that the quality of the products are always as good as what I buy locally, and they carry many of the brands I love and support. So basically what you'll see in Whole Foods, if you were going to buy Birch Bender's Paleo Pancake Mix, you can go on Thrive Market. It will probably be about half the price. They actually, if you've never shopped there before, they'll also give you 25% off your first order. And if you're anything like me, you'll get hooked and be ordering them from regularly. Amazon, obviously, free shipping, and you'll be surprised on what you can find on there. A lot of companies actually offer buying in bulk. Again, mainly pantry items, but especially if you have kids or a large family, and just some fun things, because why not? You can really get some big savings from there. And then Etsy. I didn't even know that you could buy food off Etsy. I actually mainly bought makeup from there, toxin-free makeup. But there are actually hundreds of sellers on there, and they're all just people like you and I, having their little small businesses and making homemade organic pantry items, and even things like elderberry syrup, and loads of great things are on Etsy. And I love knowing also that I'm supporting a small local business and a family. And some sellers even provide like full-on meals, organic paleo chicken pot pie, soups. Definitely worth having a browse through and making some connections. Again, if you're shopping there regularly, I'm sure you can build a connection with an Etsy seller. And it may even be worth considering selling some stuff yourself if you're good at baking or just want to get the word out there. And then couponing. I'd never really been into couponing until recently, mainly because I just lose them all the time. But clip every coupon. Because of the surge in organic demand, many stores recognize the benefit of assisting their consumers. And chains, as you've probably realized, such as Whole Foods, have partnered with Amazon Prime. Not good about that. But anyway, they do have a discount for Prime members. So take advantage of it. We can't do anything about it that they've partnered with Amazon, but they do have some great discounts. And they also work with affiliates like Mambo Sprouts, if you've heard of them. Also, All Natural Savings, Organic Deals. They have a lot of coupons online that you can check out and just clip them, print them, take them to the store. Also, check websites of your favorite companies for deals. Follow them on social media. Check for regular promotions. Honestly, there's nearly always some sort of deal going on for a holiday or a partnership with a brand. Or just because, but definitely check their websites. Follow bloggers or influencers. They are often given discount codes for their followers, and I know this because I'm a blogger myself. And you can find these on Instagram stories, Facebook posts, or really just by reaching out and asking. Also, if you have a small blog or social media presence or anything, consider reaching out and signing up for affiliate links yourself. You'll be surprised. You don't need a ton of followers. You just need to be knowledgeable and have people you can share it with. And you can get anywhere from 20% to 50% off products. Last one, write to companies. Now, this is kind of a fun story, but when I was a little rebellious teenager, I was obsessed with Kinder Buenos. I don't know if you know what they are. They're like a Kinder chocolate. Anyway, I was addicted to them, and I would buy several every single day and hide them from my parents. Anyway, my parents stopped letting me eat them because they're full of junk, and I wrote to the company and told them how much I love Kinder Buenos, and they sent me an entire box of them. I think I had about 100. And I had enough for a year. So, I mean, I don't know if it will work with all these products, but it's worth giving it a go. I literally had enough Kinder Buenos to last me a lifetime, and now I feel sick when I think about them. But anyway, you never know. Worth a try. Other budget-friendly hacks. Avoid eating out. You can see there the average amount spent for each meal of the day, all at fast food junk places. I'm sure none of you people really shop there, but this is an average. Even places like Chipotle, it can all add up. Eat out as little as possible, cook as much as you can. As I said, my groceries each week are $70. Our date night, when we go for a date night, is over $70. And that's one meal compared to an entire week worth. If you can't cook, I actually have a ton of really basic, easy one-pan meals that you can try for yourself. You don't have to be a good cook, and you may even enjoy it. So you can check them out on my website, bellagracewellness.com, or just look on Pinterest or somewhere like that. But start easy and don't feel afraid to cook. You can save a lot of money. Okay, coffee drinkers. Just a daily coffee. You can see on this little graphic from Business Insider how much it just adds up. People around the world actually spend over $10 billion on beverages at Starbucks in just 1 year. So skip buying coffee. Most of it's GMO anyway, especially from Starbucks. And make your own at home, or just ditch it altogether. Dandy Blend is a really great liver-supporting drink that tastes just like coffee and really, really affordable. Also, know how to preserve your food. I only learned more recently, actually, that keeping nuts and seeds in the fridge helps them last longer. So I have nuts and seeds in mason jars in my fridge now. Bananas, keep them separate from each other so that they spoil slower. Citrus fruit should be kept in the fridge. And if you don't have a chance to eat it, or you think you're not going to be able to eat it, then freeze it. Utilize that freezer again. Food that does get a little overripe should not be thrown away, but reused in recipes. For example, this is an obvious one, but overripe bananas into banana bread. You can make a great paleo banana bread with them. Also, compost anything that you truly can't eat. Again, if you have chickens or ducks at home or are considering it, then they eat absolutely everything that you won't want. Even things like eggshells can be used again. They add lovely calcium and other trace minerals to your compost, and that same calcium you can feed to your compost can also be fed back to your hens. You can also reuse your eggshells as seed starters if you're thinking about doing that organic garden, and give them to your tomatoes too. And I really do feel like there's a way to reuse everything. So just being conscious about your waste and using as much as you can really save you a lot of money. So that's kind of it for food. Moving on to home products. And now if you sat through my talk earlier today, I apologize because it's some similar kind of stuff, but I quit buying home cleaning products altogether. Several reasons why. Firstly, I'm sure you know that the majority of them are hugely toxic. Even the natural brands. I was buying 7th generation. I don't mean to label cool, but I was buying 7th generation for years, spending so much money thinking I was making the right choice. And I recently came to realize that the ingredients in those products are pretty much the same as the toxic junk ones at the store. So ingredients in these common household products have been linked to, I'm sure you know this, but cancer, asthma, reproductive disorders, hormone disruption, and neurotoxicity. And what's shocking to me is that neither ingredients or products must meet any sort of safety standard, nor is any testing data or notification required before bringing a product to market. They are also ridiculously overpriced. As I said, I wasted so much money on those healthy alternatives. In 2011, Statistic Brain compiled some census data, and they found out that the average American spent $42 on cleaning products every single month, and this is the toxic stuff that's killing people. That's $504 a year, which means in 10 years you'll have spent $5,040 on toxic products that's killing you, and that's enough to buy a used car. Also, they're hugely wasteful. They use so much plastic. In my opinion, a house is not truly clean if the process of cleaning has resulted in all kinds of unnecessary waste. Conventional cleaning requires chemical products, plastic bottles, paper towels, plastic bags, sponges, disposable wipes, but it really doesn't have to be that way at all. And one of the easiest ways to reduce waste is by swapping out your cleaning products and DIYing it. Again, don't be intimidated. It's super easy. These are the essentials that you need in your home for making your own cleaning products. Baking soda, it's a salt. Its pH is higher than neutral, which means it's slightly basic, and it's the key to understanding why it's such a good cleaner. Most odors in your home are acidic, and baking soda, as I just said, is basic.